Hey guys, J-Man here. Woo, today we're doing another versus battle. This is all part of the space opera tournament. We're trying to figure out what the best space opera movie is. This tournament, well, this today's episode is going to be wonky. This is going to be wonky. It's not so much a versus as much as it is a slaughterhouse. But we're going to talk about both movies, and I've got a lot of positives to say about both movies, so we're not going to just beat one up. I'm going to put a poll up right now, guys, so we can get the vote going here. Which is better? And we're going to do Enemy Mine Arena. Boom. Let's post that up. Okay, so you guys can start voting. Can't do this alone, so let's bring in the first of a few guests. Hello, Charlie.
What's going on, J-Man?
Hey, so Sean is going to be a little bit late because Sean came up with this movie he came up with this versus, and of course he doesn't show up because after you watch both movies, like, wait a minute.
Yeah, he's gonna bail.
He's gonna bail now. No. We're gonna wait till you get your ass on
That's
here.
right.
And Steve is watching Arena, like he's got like another 15 minutes left or something. He's watching it now, like he was doing renovations, and whatever. And last night we saw Black Adam, which we're gonna stream about tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So come join us on the stream. I posted my video review of Black Adam. I liked it. No, I like the DC, a DCEU, whatever it's called, movie. Wow, it's crazy. Oh, Cannot Be Reached is already here. I know what you're voting for. You already told me.
What's up, man? What's going on?
And this is the stream element. I don't know. That's just it's just a thing that comes on automatically now, I guess. But yeah. So we're going to talk about those two. We can chit chat for a little bit. I don't want to get too much. Did you see Black Adam or no?
No, not yet.
Right.
Probably next week before I watch that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I liked it. So that if that means anything. What other? Did you see Halloween yet?
Yep, I watched Halloween. I think we're going to stream it next week talking about it, but I'll talk about it here. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it though.
You didn't hate it? Yeah, but
no.
It's like,
I understand the hate. I should preface that. I understand the hate. And I think everyone lowered my expectations so low that I actually just started having fun with the movie.
Right.
And I picked up on what they were doing before, like, the internet went ballistic with the whole Christine thing. Because I'm watching it going, this is Christine. This is, they're not even trying to hide it in the movie. And I guess even the director like come out and said, yeah, he goes, I even asked John if it was too Christine, like too much on storyline. I just went into it, that first kill, you could have run credits after that first kill and it would probably have been the best Halloween movie ever. Just done. Boom in the face, down the stairs, done. I'd be like, that was cool. But it's not a good Halloween movie.
Right. So no, this is what I'm right. It's not a good Halloween movie, and it's a generic slasher movie. Like Allison now is stupid, doesn't believe Laurie. It's like she sides with the boyfriend over Laurie. It's like you've been with it's like this is dumb teenage slasher movie, which I love dumb teenage slasher movies, except they have better gore, more killings, and nudity. And this didn't have any of that. So it's like they're trying to elevate the story, but what are you elevating? There's nothing there. There's nothing to elevate. It's like there's no story.
And you were rehashing another story mashed with another one. They depowered Jamie Lee Curtis's. Yeah, well, they depowered Myers, but they depowered Jamie Lee Curtis too.
Yep.
Like, she was not the badass from the first one, which it kind of sucks for me to say that because I hated her character in 2018. It's like she's basically Sarah Connor. She has this elaborate plan,
Mm-hmm.
and she screws it all up in when she tries to implement it. Now it's like, now she's Susie Homemaker. She's writing a book.
4 years and her daughter dies.
Yeah, her daughter's dead, and there's all this other crap. And like, if you didn't want to follow Lori, cool. Put it off like she had a heart attack or some shit, and really dig into the townspeople, because they were on to something when they were showing how Michael's effect was on the town of Haddonfield. Like the people, the person that hung themselves, the people that were just losing their minds. And it was, I would have rather watched that, especially after Kills, where they went after him mob style.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't get any of that. I literally got Christine and Michael Myers as the car. And we have a Cunningham running around, same glasses, works at a junkyard.
Yeah.
I looked at my wife and went, Christine was killed in a car crusher too. Michael Myers was killed in a car crusher. She just looks at me like, holy shit, you're right. I'm like, it was a good movie. It was a bad Halloween movie. Yeah. That's how I'll do it.
All right, let's bring in Sean's here. Hello.
Can't shut up about Halloween Ends, eh?
No,
this is the first time I got to talk about it, Sean. Come on.
Talk about it. Yeah, no, my thing is just like, I'm like, I've got the soundtrack, I'm gonna buy it. I already pre-ordered it on 4K. Like it's Halloween.
I want the 3-pack. I haven't bought any of them because I wanted the trilogy all in one. That's what I'm gonna do.
It's turned into the Star Wars trilogy. No Vision yet again. It's just like, it could have just ended with 2018 then.
It's frustrating because
burns in the house, and then
they were clearly leading up to a showdown. And it's funny because all the copy on this thing, like if you listen to the news, or like everyone else who's like, out this weekend, Halloween Ends, the big confrontation showdown between Laurie and it's like, that's not what this movie is. Everyone else knows what this movie is. They didn't. There's a lot you could have done with that. You could have done. I mean, I agree with you, Charlie, but like with digging in more to what they said the theme of this movie was going to be in the movie. How evil affects everyone else and stuff, but like they didn't articulate that at all. It's just this one guy. No. Who cares? Like
that's been in a sewer for 4 years.
Yeah,
like come on. I mean, nothing is happening. I don't know. I mean, I got a better ending out of H2O. I think that one was so much better to just be done with it. And now they're going around like everyone's like, this is the last Halloween. This is it. No, they're redoing it. It's just not going to have Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis in it again.
I'm not a Laurie Strode. Guys, I'm not a Laurie. Secret confessions here. I'm not a Laurie Strode fan. It's like, especially when the first time the actor's like, I'm done. I'm like, then you're done. Now I need to come back.
Now I need a paycheck. Yeah.
Now I need to come back. No. You are done. You know who I liked was Danielle Harris.
Yeah.
Who begged.
Two movies.
Halloween 6. Because I listened to her podcast or whatever too.
Yeah.
She begged. She's like, she wasn't old enough. She's like, she went to court. Yep. She went to, I saw it in the theater. She went to court to try to get her parents, and her parents signed off on her being allowed to sign off to be in this movie. And they're like, no. I'm like, you guys are trash. And Rob Zombie, who I think really is a fan of Halloween because he brought her back. He's like, if I don't have Jamie Lee, I'll bring Danielle in. I'm like, okay, bring her in. Yeah. And then this movie could have made Danielle Harris the daughter. Really? Would it have been that difficult to put her as the daughter instead of Judy Greer, who's
if you're redoing continuity, then
the whole thing was being retconned anyway. So
4 and 5 don't exist, right? So
we've gone from brother and sister to back to being the strangers to not even having any of the characters like in 6. You have Paul Rudd and all these other things that are thrown in there. I don't know.
The other kid, Tommy
Tommy Boyle.
Boyle,
5 makes me laugh. It's like when all the cops are like, you're a brave little girl there. Right? It's like there's like 3 or 4 times when they just come out from behind a wall and go, you're a brave little girl. And then they come back and
oh, stop it. I like part 5.
5's good, but they also like totally forget that they turned Danielle Harris into a serial killer at the end of
and then she's in a classroom with kids. And then she's a brave little girl.
That was firstly, you're not even sure if that was a dream or not, to be honest.
We're playing that card.
They reference it in 5, so it happened, but then then they act like it didn't happen.
Yeah, but it's like she was either possessed or something, and then that's why she lost her voice and all traumatized. It's like Michael possessed her and all that to do it. It wasn't just her doing it.
Yeah.
All right.
They're great though, man.
I agree. Dr. Loomis, Mystery Men and Monsters. How's it going? Oh, I like your avatar. Yeah, I know. Lori was the last babysitter standing. Now we move on to other people.
That's the one character that lasted for how many movies? Why was it never centric around him and Loomis? That is also one of the other things that I think Zombie did better. They really dove into Loomis, like regretting everything he had done leading up to Michael becoming an adult and escaping at that point. That was a better thing, regardless of all the other shit, everybody complains about. I like the Rob Zombie movies. They were just, to me, it was like a Halloween one shot. It's like a what if comic. And it's just like, let's go gritty, let's go crazy as all get out, and let's just have fun with it while paying homage to the franchise. I think he did it, but
I like part 2 because it's its own thing. And the Rob Zombie movies are the only ones that actually have character development, which everyone pretends is, because what happens in part 1 affects them in part 2. Lori is insane and on drugs. Her friend is all cut up and trying to cope with it. Loomis is like, this is what doctors do all the time. They're like, oh, Loomis, why did he turn like this? This is what these psychologists do all the time. They have one big high profile case, then they start writing books, and now they're experts on everything.
But you remember, he was supposed to die in the first one.
Yes.
And we may or may not have seen the one cut where he crushes his head.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit. And then in the theatrical, that never happened.
Yeah.
And because he wanted to kill him. And then he's like, oh, I'm stuck with this damn character. I don't know. He's a sellout. And he's with Weird Al and whatever.
Right, but that's what it's still character development. It's like he's changed. Versus none of the other movies have any. People keep saying, "Oh, the storyline." And people didn't like the storyline of Halloween Kills. I'm sorry. What was the Halloween movie that had the good storyline again? What was that one? I'm gonna check that one out. None of them. The first one's a slasher movie. It's well made. Music. We talked about this yesterday, Sean. So it's boring for Sean, but it's well made. It's shot well. The POV part in the beginning, using the wide angle, right? Nobody did slasher movies with high quality film, right? It's like cinematography, following the shape around. He's coming and going. You don't know what's going on. It's a masterpiece film. It's not a masterpiece storyline. The storyline is simple. It's so simple that it's like there's no backstory. It's like he just kills his sister and he's crazy. Okay, that's it.
Yeah. It was never a franchise at the first one, and then all of a sudden, same thing. This made money. Let's do a second one. Well, I don't have a second story for this. It's never designed for a second story. We'll do it anyway. Right. And then it's just kind of gone downhill. And you always get those little rises, like a part 4 is excellent, then a part 6 is shit, and then back up again. Yep. That's with any franchise, though. It's just a victim of its own popularity. Yeah. And it sucks whenever it just destroys good storytelling and movie making.
But you're right, Charlie, about Loomis. Like, I don't understand why they don't go back to that dynamic. Like, if you want to remake it now again,
go that route.
Then just go that route. Like, he's Van Helsing to Michael Myers' Dracula. It's like he chases him and like figures out stuff about him, and it's great.
Part 4. If there was nudity and more gore, if part 4 had the nudity and the gore. Mm-hmm. That would almost be the best. That would almost be the second. Would be the second best movie, because when Loomis is chasing him and he's talking to the sheriff and stuff, he's calling ahead. He's like, "Oh, he's out," and he teams up with that. Like, he's in that truck with that random bishop guy. He's like, "Oh," he goes, "You're fighting a good fight, aren't you? I can tell you're a fighter." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, this guy's awesome. It's like, this is an awesome character. The girl Danielle Harris is obviously awesome. The girl, I forgot the girl, the main girl from part 4. who gets killed in part 5. I can't remember her name. Ellie. Ellie is the actress's name. I forgot the Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel. She was a regular person. She was the first time in any of these Halloween movies. I'm like, yeah, you know, she's a regular girl. Like, it's like, okay, I like her. And I like Danielle Harris. I like her. And they nailed the stuff with the kids making fun of. The kids make fun of Danielle Harris like she's an orphan. And then they're like, oh, you have a cool costume, come play. Dude, that is how kids are all the time. They super despise you, and then the next second they're like, "Oh, you got a toy? Let's go play." You're like, "What happened?"
Now you're best friends. Yeah.
That's exactly how. Because always at the movies, like the bullies are just continuously bullying. It's like, why? Anyways, we've gone 15 minutes on Halloween. All right,
we're buying Steven some time. We're
buying Steven some time. I know we were trying to buy Steve. What's the last word? He has not texted me, so he must be still watching it. Okay, let's talk about. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Arena and Enemy Mine. I guess I'll go first because I've got the shortest thing. For me, Enemy Mine, I only watched it when Sean mentioned it. So Sean and I tried to come up with some movies, and I'm blaming Sean for picking this one. So it's all on Sean for this. Waterhouse today. Anyways, so Sean picked Enemy Mine. I was like, oh yeah, I never saw that. I knew the poster, and my reasoning was that it's the two people facing off on the poster.
It's like, a fight card.
That was my thought process, right? It's like, oh, it's two guys facing off, or there's like a human guy and an alien guy, and it's like Freddy versus Jason or whatever. So, and everyone's like, oh, hey, Phantom.
Hey, Phantom.
So everyone's like, oh my God, J-Man, you never saw Enemy Mine. This is crazy. I was like, no, I never saw Enemy Mine. So I thought, all right, let's go with Enemy Mine versus Arena. Now, Sean, in his defense, which he's going to defend himself, but he's going to say, I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't remember. He's like, I think it might be too good. He did say he thinks it might be too
I said good. That a few times. I was nervous about it. Yeah.
I'm saying that you said it. Look how he's already nervous. And then I said that. It's like, yeah, it might be too good. And then I watched it like last week. I was like, holy crap.
Whoops.
Okay, so this needs to, I'm watching this, and I had spoilers. I had no idea that anything that was going to happen.
You could not.
I did not know anything. Literally, they land. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
They land on that planet, and I was like, "Oh, this is like that movie with Toshiro Mifune and what's the American guy?"
It was. It's Hell in the Pacific is the movie you're talking about.
It's what's the guy's name? I guess we could look it up, but whatever.
Yeah.
Where it's the Japanese guy. And the American guy, and in Japan, they never subtitled it, and also in North America, they didn't subtitle. So you're literally on the side of the person who you know. Hey, Joe, how's it going, man? So then I realized, oh, that's what's going to happen. And then when Lou Gossett Jr., who's a genius in this, and Dennis Quaid is a friggin' genius in this too. And the guy's pregnant. I was like, oh my God. And then the kid shows up like, oh my God, the guy's dead. And there's this kid now. Like, this is so awesome. Yeah. And he's like, I got to get the kid back. And I thought, and I looked at the timer, and I do this all the time with movies. I looked up and was like, there's not much time left in this movie. I was like, okay, this needed to be a trilogy. I want to see a whole movie with them on that guy's planet doing stuff there. And I'd love to see them do a Han Lando. Sean and I came up with the best Star Wars show of all time. They'll never use our idea because it was too good. It was Han and Lando on adventures. And every episode starts off with one of them flying the Millennium Falcon. And then a couple episodes later, the other guy's flying it because he had lost it. So they kept going back and forth. Like who the pilot was, and you don't know what happened.
And then by the end, they're just confused as to who owns it anymore.
Right. So it's like, because it's like, no, I won last time. No, you won. What? It's like we were too out of it. We don't even know.
They quit signing the title over. There's no name on
it. They just kept passing it. Right. So it's like every few episodes, a different one of the other guys is piloting it. So
Chewie can win it a few times too.
Oh, that'd be so awesome. That's how I would end it. Chewie walks in and he's like, I'm the pilot. You're like, oh, damn it. And then that'd be
you see him smile for the first time, like, looks at the camera.
Hey, Chris. Dennis Quaid, Lou Gossett. Okay, so anyway, I'm watching this. Wow, this is fantastic. And it is too good for this tournament. We'll have to figure something out. We'll see if we want to continue it on. It's a great film. So I mean, what are you gonna say? But yeah, that's my experience with Enemy Mine. I'm like, wow, this needed to be a trilogy. I know it bombed. Charlie just explained to me right when we started the stream about how they reshot the entire movie with a new director, and there's like this lost footage out there.
There's an entire movie in the vault of Enemy Mine, and this guy, Wolfgang, said, nope, we're reshooting it all. And they were so far in on contracts, they let them do it. So they literally done this movie twice.
He was doing a Never-Ending Story, and he had to finish that and then do this. So that's like a back-to-back freaking.
Wow,
that's awesome, man. I don't know if they shot the whole thing. They were in like Iceland or something like that, but I know like, it just looked like crap to them.
Size like they hadn't added a lot of the like space elements. But it was also stuff, right? Not the same movie either. Like there's some, but like Louis Gossett Jr. didn't look like that.
No, he looked different, and he looked terrible too. Yeah.
Wolfgang wanted him to resemble the book better because he's very described in the book.
Yeah.
So that's the new makeup and stuff for it. But I wanted to talk a little bit about where J-Man's talking about the trilogy. And when you said that, I immediately went, that would have helped. And I would have done it a little different because the movie does end fairly abruptly. Like it's a happy ending, you know, the whole Wayne's World, and it's the happy ending. I would have taken the second movie, like he gets the kid, they go back to the base. Now he has to go through all the bullshit because they're at war with these people.
Yeah.
They are at war with the Drax. Yeah. And now he has to convince this Federation or whatever outpost that he needs to get to planet Drax. And there's resistance from both sides.
Right.
So, you know, he only has the refugees with him. They can play into it because now it's almost like a prisoner exchange type thing they could play with on that. Then the final movie would be where he finally does get to Drax. They can bring a conclusion to the war and just all these other things just to really tie it all up and give us some. There's a lot more story making in that. But I think if you would do it as have the kid deal with the Federation, then the last movie's dealing with the Drax more or less. And, you know, bring that into a good trilogy, I would have been there for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, no, for sure. I would have loved to see more with this in a capacity, like just to see more going with it. I think why this was even on here was that it was a bomb and it didn't make the money, obviously.
No.
And people were kind of like, oh, I don't know.
My other thing too is that no one talks about it, and it's just like maybe there's a reason for that, but no, there's no reason. What the hell, man? It's like no one ever brings this up. No one ever like even lists this among Louis Gossett Jr.'s like or even Quaid's performances. I don't get it. It's great, you know.
No, it's no. I was blown away while watching it. For Arena, now that's my buddy Charles Band. I you know, he's not really my buddy, but you know, whatever. I can pretend. And you know, I was like, there's a movie out there where there's like a tournament. It's UFC, but with aliens and stuff. Like, this is awesome. I watched that movie a bunch of times. I loved it. The copy on Tubi is better than the DVD I have.
Oh yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
You mean like the quality?
Quality wise, man, I don't know, but
is it different cut?
No. It's just the quality. I think maybe there's a Blu-ray out there, or an up-converted something. The Tubi's not Blu-ray, but like
it's damn good.
It's better than the one I've got. And it's got Claudia Christian in it, who's like automatically awesome. That other girl's looking pretty good too.
Jade or whatever her name was.
Jade. I'm like, and this guy. I mean, this guy, to me, this guy's Christopher Reeve. My wife like double taped it. Like, she's wearing glasses she has reading glasses. She's like, and then it's like, she's like, wait, is that Christopher Reeve? What is this? I was like, no, it's not Christopher Reeve. Go back to your thing. You hate this. You'll hate this movie.
Yeah.
And then you know, and I was watching Enemy Mine with her reading. She reads manga while I watch all these movies. She was looking up a lot of Enemy Mine. She's like, well, this looks really good. I was like, yeah. She's like, not like that other one. That was terrible. I was like, what do you think? Like, we don't know. You don't know. You don't know. You only saw half of it.
Oh, yeah. We have to have a deliberation about all this. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I don't. You listen. If you didn't see the full thing, beginning and end, you can't judge.
No.
But anyway, so I loved Arena. I hadn't seen it in a long time though. So when I rewatched, I was like, yeah, this is a lot of fun. Whatever. But Enemy Mine, I was like, whoa. And then I asked Steve, I was texting Steve while I'm watching it. I'm like, have you seen Enemy Mine? And he's like, no, I haven't. I was like, oh, okay. That was it.
I wouldn't
like,
think he has, yeah.
What's with this like cryptic text? Because I'm thinking like, buddy, like your mind's gonna be blown here. Like this
right.
is the greatest movie ever. But anyway, so that's my story with it. I guess Charlie will go with you, and then Sean, because Sean suggested it. I'll go through some comments here while we're looking.
Yeah, pop those up here real quick. But yeah, I watched. What's going on, brother? Zamus will never get 4 and 5.
Anyway, I think a lot of people are voting for Enemy Mine. Chisma.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Mouse.
He's a big stupid dope. Is that what you say? A big stupid dope.
I am the childhood chopper of dreams.
My God, there's 6 votes, and there's not. It's 100% Enemy Mine. All right,
and that's what's good. But so I remember the first time I watched Enemy Mine. This is one of those family rental things. We all rented it, and I don't know if Mom was home, because watching it again today, it's been a while since I'd watched it, and I'm going, damn, this movie gets violent, really violent at the end. I can't imagine my mom would have been okay with me sitting there. So it's probably one of those like dad rented a movie and me and him's watching it. But those images that pit, Louis Gossett Jr.'s makeup, everything just always burned an image in my brain. And I think as a kid, I didn't get the movie, but there was enough there that I was enjoying it. Creatures and space battle, and a good climax to the end. And then watching it as I'm older, and then watching it today, I'm just going, damn, this is a masterpiece. It's just flat out a masterpiece. Now, Arena, I love Arena. That's been a childhood movie of mine forever. I've seen Rocky once. I've watched Arena 10 or 15 times. I mean, it's Rocky in space, man. I love Arena.
I've seen Rocky twice. I've seen Arena way more than that.
Yeah, I mean, if that tells you anything, we should have pit this up against Rocky instead of Enemy Mine. That would have made more sense. But I love all of the it felt like one of the side stories of Star Wars, like we've always talked about, where I don't want to know about the Skywalkers or anything. I want to know more about the cantina or the seedy underbelly of stuff. Arena was that. It was like the seedy underbelly of this fighting. Then there's even like an underground place for people to live and a society, and it's just fun. It doesn't take itself serious.
Yeah.
And I love Arena, and I'm pissed off that these movies are against each other, because I really, really wanted Arena to go further in this competition tonight.
I know, but I don't know.
We don't know how to fix this.
I don't know what to do. This is
Enemy Mine didn't make weight. It came in overweight. It can't do the fight.
It can't do it. Yeah,
it can't do the fight.
We're gonna do, well. Look, we promised everyone that we're gonna do it fair. Look, and I'm gonna be friggin' fair, and I'm gonna say a lot of positive points about Arena too, because I gotta tell you,
you have to, yeah.
And Arena's a longtime favorite, and Sean, we'll get to your thing in just a second. And Phantom, thanks for pointing that out on my Shazam. Oh, Shazam, what the hell is it called? Black Adam. Thanks for pointing that out on the Black Adam. I missed that part where Cyclone was the granddaughter of Red Tornado. I missed that, and I guess they said that during the Amanda Waller part.
They're all descendants, yeah.
Yeah, I did miss that, so that's my bad on that video. But I liked her anyway, so I'm glad that I said I liked the character, because I didn't say I didn't like the character. It's not like the original. I wasn't being one of those guys. I was like, it's not the original, but I like this character, so I'm glad I was positive. But that just goes to show you that if you do a good character, whether it's a swap, race swap, gender swap, whatever, if the character still works, I'm going to like it, because I'm going to be fair, and that's why we are going to be fair to Arena. I think there's a lot of positive points about Arena.
Oh, 100%.
So, but yeah, okay. So, all right, Sean, what do you got to say about about all this?
I apologize for putting this.
I don't accept your apology. I forgot to tell you this, Charlie. I don't accept apologies. Because you should have thought of this before you.
This all an elaborate ruse to get J-Man to watch Enemy Mine. I told him about this for 100 years now, man.
Still the most shocking thing of this entire thing is J-Man had never seen Enemy Mine. That blows my mind.
No, and I knew something was wrong when Charlie got excited that I hadn't seen it. right? Because it's like, and when this had happened with Space Hunter, where you hadn't seen Space Hunter, I was like, oh god, like
yeah.
I was like, oh, I can't wait for Charlie to watch like Space, you know. And I remember like talking to somebody. What was that? What was the I told you this, the Turbo Kid story with my other friend Sean. I was like, you gotta watch Turbo Kid. And then I talked to him the next day, and I said, hey, how's it going? I was like, hey, like a week later, I was like, did you watch Turbo Kid? He's like, no. I said, I know you didn't watch Turbo Kid. I said, you know how I know you didn't watch Turbo Kid? Because you didn't call me immediately to tell me how awesome it was. And then he finally, I got a call from him. It's like, I see the name. I was like, oh, here we go. He's like, I saw Turbo Kid. I was like, yeah, I knew you were going to tell me that. He's like, the credits. He's like, I watched the credits 7 times because the song was so good. I'm like, oh my god.
Yep.
I bought the soundtrack from Bandcamp for that.
I watched it this week. We talked about it so much that I was like, watch Turbo Kid right now.
Oh, we're gonna talk after about how awesome that Turbo Kid is.
Oh, I love it.
And Apple's the greatest character in the last 10 years. Like, best character ever. Literally, I'm like, I can't. She's the best. And she's on some shit. She's Canadian, and now she's on some cop show or something.
Yep.
Actress. Okay, Sean, go ahead. Sorry, it's your fault. Go ahead.
Enemy Mine I saw in the theater when I was like 7. I think I was 7 or something. My dad took me to see. He's a big sci-fi guy, so awesome. So we saw that, and I loved it. I knew it was a bit above my weight class in terms of something I probably wouldn't watch normally. Like I knew it was a cerebral movie without knowing what that word is, right? But I was also fascinated by the fact that I could watch it and not be bored. It's when I was first becoming aware of that kind of thing, right? And I was like, I could watch this on TV anytime, but there's no real super action or anything happening, right? Like action compared to what was happening in the 80s, right?
Right.
And nowadays it's like mega action packed, but yeah, I would point out little small weird faults, like how can the shells deflect asteroids from space and not like a tree and stuff, like weird stuff. But I was really into it. Like, I watched it so many times on TV, and even growing up, it's just a movie that no one really talked about. And even now, it's like I don't really see a lot of retrospectives or reactions. I see millennial reactions to a whole bunch of other stuff, even obscure things, but never Enemy of Mine, right? No one recommends it to them or anything. So yeah, and also Charlie pointed this out in another stream. I always got confused between the Luke Gossett Jr. and the alien from Last Starfighter. Yeah, they look like the same guy, right? Arena, I rented on VHS. I don't even know when. I rented it a couple times. I remember the poster for it at the VHS store. And it was the one with the card, it was the two guys, like this versus this, like who will survive. And I was like, that's awesome. That's a great idea for a movie. I'm getting this now. And I remember the first few shots where it's like the beams of light. You don't know what it is at first, right? The beams of light over each guy. Like, this is awesome. This is colorful. Yeah. And I love the fact that all the aliens, they look like monsters, but they have personalities. They talk and stuff. When the one guy who gets beat up in the restaurant, when he comes in and he goes, "Oh, look at me," and I'm like, "Hey, this guy has a personality. Like, he's not just a big brooding guy that beats up guys. He's like all hurt and he's telling him, right? And he's like, a human did this, right? All that stuff. I always felt it was like a notch above all the sort of low budget straight to video stuff. It seemed like it was inspired, like someone was really struck by the muse on this one. And it's very creative. Lots of world building in that. We'll get to that in art, but yeah, no, like these two, I grew up with them. Look, I felt that Enemy Mine was probably better, like better than than all these other movies. But I was like, well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while, and no one talks about it. There might be a reason for that.
Yeah.
So then I was like, yeah, put it against Arena. I don't know.
No, but you are right though, because now that I've seen it, you do what you always do. You see it, and you start going on Wikipedia, and you go on the internet, and you're like, okay, what's out there, right? And yeah, it's like, this is the movie that everyone forgot was a movie. It's just like, I just to what you were saying, Sean. I mean, I saw reactions to like crazy shit too. It's like some like German white girl or whatever reacting to Assault on Precinct 13. I'm like, what is this? It's like,
or like they're reacting. Like I've seen like 3 or 4 reactions to Clue. It's like Clue was never a big hit. It's like it's fun, it's cool. But like, how is this like the big millennial du jour now? you know? Yeah.
Because it's over 30 plus years ago now, guys. We're old. Our movies are
I guess
old.
They're classics now.
The Assault on Precinct 13 is older. But I've seen people like they're talking about Last Starfighter all the time, right? Like all these movies. It's like, well, this to me is like right in there, right? Like I would say this is probably better than Last Starfighter. In terms of quality of the story and all of that. Well, Last Starfighter is a childhood favorite. It's awesome, obviously, but like this was like awesome. So I mean, I don't know. I think because it was a bomb, and then there wasn't. And this is what I've always said about franchises. We just talked about this yesterday, Sean and I. It's like there needs to be more movies because it's not going to go anywhere. This is the thing. Like even when Charlie and I were talking, we were talking about Halloween. It's like, look, I want more Halloween. Because if it stopped at Halloween 1 or Halloween 2, there wouldn't be Michael Myers masks. There wouldn't be toys. I've got the Michael Myers toy right there. I've got there's Funko Pops. They did an exclusive Myers house Funko. Like Funko Pop is doing Halloween. Like it just seems outrageous. There's a Leatherface Funko Pop. Funko Pop's the cheesiest of cheesy things you could possibly get. It's so silly. And they're doing Friday 13th and Leatherface and stuff. So, and that's because there's more of these movies. You need more, right? I don't want them to end. So this movie, had it continued on, even if it was another movie that kind of bombed again or whatever, right? But whenever it's one movie, it doesn't go anywhere, right? Yeah. Or it's The Burning, like we mentioned, The Burning. That was one of the big slashers. Didn't go anywhere, right? There's a whole bunch of them.
I'm actually, I got like 10 more minutes left in it, but I'm watching a Jamie Lee Curtis movie I've never seen before on Tubi. It's called Terror Train.
Yeah, Terror Train. I have that.
Never seen it, and it was right when she did Halloween, The Fog, Prom Night, and Terror Train. Like this is one that came out in 1980, and I had never seen it. But I think the biggest issue why Enemy Mine never went anywhere else. If Charles Band had made Enemy Mine on a Charles Band budget, there would be 3 movies.
Right.
Period. But because Fox did it, and basically Fox already dumped 2 movies worth of money into this, they were, even if this had been profitable to some degree, I don't think they would have done it again anyway. And then you have the problem of you had Louis Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid in this movie. Those guys are going to continue their careers straight to the moon. Like you watch this movie and you're like, man, this is the Dennis Quaid from like Dragonheart. This is the Dennis Quaid from like all these badass movies he did. Like I'm even watching it going, this is just like his character in Legion. Is just this haggard, beat down guy, especially whenever he's getting mad at Louis Gossett Jr. And I'm just like, these were actors and these guys command some money. It was never going to get a sequel. Big budget movies had a hard time getting sequels. And that's just the fact of the matter.
Shinanju. I just bought number 2. I got number 2. I just need 4 and 7. I've got all the Destroyer Marvel magazine issues. I'm super excited to finish that off. German, I'd say German lady makes movie better. German guys make every movie. Well, you know what I mean.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
All right. Well, Steve, we're gonna just move on, and then Steve will get here when he gets here. We know what his answers are going to be, kind of, anyways, right? So, who wants to start with story? Sean, you can start with story. Which one had the better story?
Well, I mean, like the obvious pick would be Enemy Mine, but I think that the story for Enemy Mine is flawed because of what we already talked about, where they just cram another movie into the end of the movie. And it looks like it's crammed. I don't know if they shot a bunch of stuff and cut it out, because my favorite is when they cut to the outside of the space station. It's like, and then this other stuff happened. And then they cut back to inside, and he's running towards the ship. It's like, why are you running towards the ship? Where are you going? It's like, I'm going back to the planet. It's like, what the hell did I just miss? They're really like the yada yada, all that stuff. Like at one point they're like, he's working for the other side, and that goes nowhere. There's zero tension after that. And then one guy says like, we put our ass on the line for you. It's like, wow, this is like they fast forwarded a whole other sequel and just crammed it into the thing.
That right there would have been like, we could have even went in the second movie to save the kid.
Yeah,
like end it with, we don't see how he got on the fortress.
Yeah.
He got shot, and all of a sudden he's a dead body in the morgue.
Well, even like there's a spotlight, and they're saying like it's a reconnaissance by I guess these other guys, but it's right next to the mine. Like, did they not?
Yeah.
Like, it just picked them up and they discreetly went away, and these other guys didn't even see this ship with the two big spotlights. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
That was my thing. That was my thing when I was watching, and I saw that there was like, I don't know, there's like 20 minutes left. I'm like, wait, what's going to happen here? I actually thought it was going to end with him waking up and being like, I gotta go save this kid. And I thought it was going to end there. And I thought this is why Sean picked this, because it didn't go anywhere. And it's like the story's dead now. And if they never continue it, then that's the worst.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I thought maybe there's something weird. And it's like, no, they just kind of quickly went and did everything. I'm like, well, that was kind of fast. But yeah, anyway.
You gotta squeeze a quick Brian James. Brian James had a contract where he had to be in every movie as a bad guy somewhere.
The horror show, that never continued on.
Yeah.
Stalker never continued on.
Just watched that the other day. The horror show. House 3 everywhere else, but the horror show. That laugh.
Prison never continued on. I'm remembering them all. Prison, horror show, burning. What was the other one I just mentioned? It's like there's so many that never continued on.
Intruder.
Yeah.
Shit, that was ready to go, man, for part 2.
God, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Spawn, if you want to go with that.
The one with the dude that has telekinesis and he has a mask on. What's that one called?
Sean, sorry, what?
The one where the guy has telekinesis and he has a mask on. What's that one called?
Oh, Tourist Trap?
Tourist Trap, yeah.
The guy's got telekinesis. What the heck?
That's awesome.
Anyway.
What a twist.
Yeah, like, honestly, Arena seems like a tighter story. Because it's like it zips along. It's like the only thing that's in the favor of Enemy Mine is its loftier aspirations and the way it articulates that, right? Like all the delicate stuff between like Louis Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid, right? Mm-hmm. And some of the dialogue is great too, right? The like the whole thing is like, truth is truth, right? It's like, I've heard these echoed in my planet. It's like, of course you have, right? I love that reaction. Awesome. It's like, of course you have. Truth is truth, right? It's like it's universal. It's universal truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all that stuff. So I don't know. To me, actually, this is close. It's not. This isn't like, oh, of course it's Enemy Mine, right? So I don't know. I'll put in the vote for Arena, because it doesn't have a crammed in. It's not as flawed as Enemy Mine. Enemy Mine does have the better writing and the better articulation of its themes, right? But Arena does what it sets out to do and does it really well. The world building of that movie is fantastic too. Just little small things throughout. And the whole business of like all the aliens and stuff, I think they did it better than most Star Wars movies, to be honest. Like the whole depicting all of them in one community like that. So I'll give it to Arena for story.
Yeah.
Okay,
all right,
that's fair. As soon as J-Man, we got into the chat, I was just going, this sucks. I love both of these movies, man. I've always loved Arena. And I love Enemy Mine. I'm gonna go Enemy Mine because it's just so much better written, and Arena could never get to the level that Enemy Mine was at as far as script and writing, and they do finish the movie. It's just one of those things where you have to they don't leave it on a cliffhanger, and they also don't just give you a shit ending. They just give you a fast ending. Arena, while I love it, it almost ends like Rocky. Like the fight's over. Yeah, they could have freeze framed on him, up in the air, and I would have been fine with it. But they should have like given me just a little bit more on the villain, because his whole career is riding on that one fighter. You know, his whole crime syndicate is on this fight. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. You're still a powerful dude, even if your fighter loses. You know what I mean? You're really going to lose the respect of everyone on this station if your guy loses a fight. Or, you know, make Horn, you know, go nuts or something at the end because he lost. It's very kid-like the way it ends. You win, and that's it.
Yeah.
It is well written, and I'm going to echo what J-Man said on one of the other ones is we're talking about 0.5s of a difference on like Enemy Mine is going to get a 2 if I was grading it. Arena would be 1.5 because it is fast, it is concise. I know what's going on. I never get lost in it. I don't get lost in Enemy Mine, and some people would be like, well, it gets a little slow. I'm like, there's a difference in a movie getting slow and you're not enjoying it to where a movie is actually putting something on the screen for you to consume. Just because they're not running or jumping or fighting or kicking or anything like that doesn't mean it's slow. It means you're learning something. And what we're learning is these two characters getting to know each other and build this bond to where the end of the movie, they're best friends. That makes him saying that to the kid, like, you knew my parent, tell me about him. And he's like, he was my best friend. That's all he had to say. You know, the audience goes, damn, that's deep, when all he said was he's my best friend. But go ahead, Jay, man. I'm going mine.
Yeah, this is really tough. Again, 0.5 difference for me also. What's happening here is that we've got a situation where they took a really neat concept with Arena, did a very tight script. We're following this guy's career. He has to do it for money in the beginning, and then he gets stuck. It's Lionheart, right? We've seen it, you know, whatever.
Exactly.
And we've seen it before. That's fine. We've seen it before, and it was done well. He goes through all the things. I like Claudia Christian. They gave her a character, you know, that everything's connected. He wins. He overcomes the odds. He wins. It is Rocky. It's Lionheart. All these other movies, and it's like it's done perfectly in its attempt. Arena is an Enemy Mine is so big. And there's so much going on that they can't, without enough budget and enough time and enough movie, they can't, like, the pacing is almost bad in Arena because it's not long enough. Like,
I wanted more. You're right. Yeah.
Like the pace, this is one of the, when we get to pacing, this is one of the things where it's like the pacing is almost wrong because it was perfectly paced until the kid got born. Then after that, it was way too fast. It's like it should have been slower. The very end should have been him getting kidnapped, and then oh my god, part 2, right? But yeah, so it's Hardwood's story. But like Enemy Mine, like I feel like I wanted more out of Enemy Mine, so I'm gonna give it to Enemy Mine because it unlocked my imagination more than Arena. Arena was like, yeah, like I could see a part 2 with him fighting other monsters. But then it's just going to be a Rocky movie because the only other thing you can do is what Creed 3 is doing, which is what Rocky 3 did. All these movies, it has to get to the point where now this guy who's the underdog is now the best, and now someone who wants it more comes in. That's the only logical steps you can take in any of these.
No, you're right. Yeah.
They're doing it in Creed 3. Like Creed 3, we saw the trailer like, oh, this is Rocky 3 now. This guy's the punk kid who didn't get a chance, and now he wants a chance. And Creed's the lucky kid, privileged kid who had his dad. And
shades of Rocky 5, yeah.
Yeah,
it's takes him in and
takes him in. Right, it's the story of Rocky. It's the base story of Rocky 3 with the elements of Rocky 5, where he brings him in and then he goes after him.
Yeah.
So, but that's where Arena would have gotten to, but I don't know where Enemy Mine would have gone. There's so much to do. So to me, it unlocked my imagination more than Arena. So I'm just giving. I mean, again, it's 0.5 difference for me. I don't have any mind. I was just like, this is like, I'm like, when there was 20 minutes left, I was actually sad that there was 20. I'm like, oh, this is almost over. I was like, shit, I can start. They can hire me right now, and I'll write the next movie, even with that rushed ending. So I'm gonna give it to Enemy Mine. When Steve comes on, he's gonna go. We'll backtrack through his stuff. I'll stay with pacing since I already mentioned it. I'll continue on. So pacing. This is a weird one where. I was never bored at Enemy Mine and I wanted more. Arena was almost like every time I was like, yeah, okay, and then something cool happened to move it along. And I'm like, yeah, like Arena is actually perfect. It doesn't need to be longer, maybe a couple of minutes if you want to get into
just a little filling out of the villain is really
villain.
all I
Maybe
would have
like,
wanted. Yeah.
Maybe like the like, you know, like the cops show, like whatever, the Galactic Police show up, and then and they're like, sorry, what was his name again? To me, he's Gul Dukat. Look, once we get,
and he looks like him too, right? With the gray.
Once we get to characters, it's like this is the Deep Space Nine reunion. So obviously this is
Armin Shimmerman and
oh well, you know what? Steve's here, so let's get him on, and let him do his story.
Yeah,
that's perfect timing. I gotta find this thing. I love your icon, Steve. Oh, I just got a new shirt. I gotta show it to you afterwards. It's the best. Hold on a second.
Hello.
It's Becky Lynch.
It's Becky Lynch.
Oh my God! Awesome. Where's my Becky? That's that picture. I have that printed out on my desk. My cubicle in my office. I used to have an office. I don't have an office anymore. When I had an office, but I don't have. When I had an office at my job, I had a Tomb Raider Cradle of Life poster with Angelina in my office. Everyone loves my office. But now in my cubicle, I have nothing work related. It's just like Becky, Scarlet Witch, Christopher Reeve. Of course, Christopher Reeve has to be there. Avon from Blake 7. I got Judy Garland because I like Judy Garland. I got, we're not getting into my Judy Garland thing. But so it's like I have all these pictures. It's just like so random. It's like, but I've got this poster and I printed that out and made a notebook out of it because I just love this picture. All right, Steve. So you just finished Arena.
Yep.
We're just watching. We're still on story. So you came in at the right exact time.
Nice.
You watched both movies for the first time.
Yes.
Just now, right? Like.
Yep.
Okay, so you don't have a backstory with any of them, so we can just skip that, right? Like you don't.
Yeah. I have no backstory. I actually got Enemy Mine confused with that James Caan movie. I think it's called Enemy. Just Enemy. I got those two movies confused. So
there you go. Okay, so story. Which one did you like better and why?
Enemy Mine.
Yeah.
I just felt, and I don't want to be that film snob who's like, oh, the production values and all that, but it is more of an elevated story. I feel it was actually it's strange because I don't think we've talked about this during any of these yet, and if you guys have, I haven't been on that stream, but it felt very almost spiritual, and it was very, very it was very moving. On the surface, when I thought about this, I was thinking about both stories while I was watching Arena. On the surface, they're both like kind of like, well, this guy gets stranded with this alien, and of course they're going to be friends and blah blah blah, and but I don't think that tells the whole story of Enemy Mine. Whereas the story of Arena is the story of Arena. It is what it is. Right. I feel like Enemy Mine has that certain something. That the plot, and you and I have talked about this, where story is one thing, but the plot sort of can elevate a generic story to something more, where if you don't have that plotting for a generic story, it doesn't. And I feel like the plotting of Enemy Mine elevates that story. I feel like it's just how it works out. It felt very natural. It didn't feel forced that the two of them got together, because they're going to end up being friends. Right. But it's like, I don't know. It just felt very much like I could buy that the two of them were being friends without me being forced by the plot into accepting the two of them being friends, and becoming something where the Dennis Quaid character would look after the alien child, right? Like it just had that something more than Arena's story had for me. So right. I'm giving it Enemy Mine.
Can I ask you something, since we didn't talk about your background with the movies? When I was watching, so I have zero background with Enemy Mine. I texted you while watching because I was like blown away by how awesome this movie was. Okay, when he was pregnant, I was completely stunned out of my mind. I'm like, I have never not been able. I know where every movie's going.
Right.
I've never, very rarely have I been like, whoa, what, that took a turn. I was like, Lou Gossett's dying. As soon as he was pregnant, I was like, oh my god, he's dying, and it's going to continue with the kid. I knew, like then I knew, but when he's like, I'm pregnant, I was like, this is amazing.
It's because it's a throwaway line at the beginning of the movie where they're describing the Drac race. Yeah. It's like they don't have male and female.
No, yeah.
It's a completely throwaway line until it comes back. And I was like what Steven was saying, this movie kind of does give you this moment of you're not really sure even halfway through if they're going to end up being as close friends as they are, or if Dennis Quaid is going to stand up, because during that meteorite barrage, he's choking Drax out. They've been together for however long, surviving together, and just that chaos caused them to snap. So there's still elements as this movie went till the pregnancy scene where you're like, man, they could like break off at any point from each other.
I
like that a lot. Yeah, I completely agree with Charlie, and kudos for picking up that throwaway line, because I didn't pick up on that. So like,
because there was a bunch of information, and you're just like, okay, like
it's an info dump. It was just an info dump, but also like Sean, we've seen this movie more than you guys have.
And I feel like I always knew it, but like,
no, I did not. No. That's what I was asking Steve. I always saw this once. I didn't watch it a second time because I moved on to watching other stuff. And it's like, I was completely stunned. I was like, oh my god! And it's like, there was an info dump at the beginning. Oh, the guy was like, okay, sure, whatever. Like, who cares? Right? All right. Okay, so Steve. Well, I was gonna do pacing.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back around. So pacing, so again, I'm at a point where, do I say Arena is better paced because it's a tighter story, it tells it all, it's done, versus Enemy Mine, where I would have liked to have seen more? I don't know. Like, I was never bored through either movie. I certainly cannot cut anything from Enemy Mine. I need to add footage. I need to add 2 movies.
We're trying to add 2 movies, J-Man.
I want a trilogy out of this thing. I want a trilogy, so I need to add more movies. So what am I supposed to do here? I literally can't decide. I guess I'm gonna say Enemy Mine. It's so fast. The last 15 minutes is just like, I'm just like, wait. I had to stop taking notes because I'm like, okay, I need to like focus, because at one point I rewound a bit because I started to write some notes. I'm like, wait, what's happening? I'm like, wait, who are these guys? Well, I got to rewind, and I have to rewind like 2 minutes. Like, wow, that 2 minutes, like so much happened. I'm like, whoa, wait, did I miss that? And just like Sean was saying, it's like, oh wait, these friends are there. Like, oh yeah, his friends are back, and it's like, oh, we vouch for him, and it's like, oh, he's working for the other side. He's a defector. I'm like, what? What's going on here? And I was like, it's too fast, and it almost felt like we're running out of time. Let's just quickly end this. So, do I knock the movie for that? I don't know.
Well, fast pacing isn't good pacing.
Correct.
It's just fast pacing.
It's just fast pacing.
It could be good, could be bad,
but it's only at a certain point of the movie,
right?
Yeah.
Because had they not done it, we wouldn't have had an ending to the movie.
Right.
This is where it's difficult, guys.
But is it uneven pacing at that point then?
Right. Like,
and
should
they
have condensed the first hour to make room to tell an act? Maybe halfway through the movie they go back or whatever. Like the first half is this and the second half is that. Turn it into a 2-act picture instead of trying to have these 3 acts where the third act is like super like fast forward. Like, it's like, what was that, Click or Remote or Click?
Click.
Adam Sandler, where he presses the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, what the shit? What did I press here? I pressed something on here. Like, I missed half this movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm gonna think about it. Maybe I'll come back and give my rating. I'm gonna cheat a bit and let's see what everyone else says. Does anyone have a definite answer to this question?
Yes,
I do. Yeah, but
all right, let's go. Okay, let's go, Steve, and then Charlie, and then Sean, and then I'll go back.
Steve? I have to give it to Arena. And the reason I'm giving it to Arena is basically what you guys just said. The movie, the last 15 minutes of the movie do not match the rest of the movie. This movie, and I never say this. This movie needed to be longer. This movie needs to be 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I will never, ever, write this one down, guys. I'm never saying this again. Yep. It needed to be longer. Because I almost felt like, what was that movie with Rachel McAdams and Cillian Murphy? Or like Training Day.
Red Eye or something?
Red Eye or Training Day, where you're really engaged in the story and you're almost taken out of it because they've almost made a different genre film in the last act. And that's what happened with Enemy Mine. I was completely taken out of the movie because I'm like, wait a second, why is this now a big adventure movie? Like, there's this big action adventure. Like, it's almost like they're like, oh shit, we didn't do anything. Like, we just had this big character development. Okay, let's get in this big action scene and these big set pieces. I'm like, this is not the same movie. Arena always felt like the same movie. It always felt like the same movie to me. It was, I knew what was going to happen, but it came along. Steve Armstrong's going to say, no, I'm not going to fight in the arena. And of course he's going to fight, and all that stuff. Usually I would knock a movie for that, but I understood that's what they were doing. I always felt like I was watching the same movie with Arena, and I stopped thinking I was watching the same movie with Enemy Mine. So I have to give it to Arena.
I'm going to give it to Arena as well. I have to, because the pacing, we needed more. And yes, and so Steve, the reasoning for that is that Charlie was telling me earlier, they reshot 90% of this movie because the director left and the new guy didn't like any of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe that's a consequence of that. Look, we know who's going to win this. I'm going to give it to Arena because it's tight. It's one movie. It's good. Enemy Mine is so good it should have been longer, which is crazy, but unfortunately that is how the math works. All right, Charlie, you're up.
All right, now I'm tied. I thought I had an answer, and then I've listened to the two of you go on, and you're not wrong at all.
Give it to the one you want. These
yeah, you're right. Normally when we rank movies, they can tie. Something can have a 2 pacing and 2 pacing. Neither of these really get a 2 pacing for me.
No.
They would have been more like 1s. I would have given both of these movies because Arena is your generic action adventure. It's almost even just a sports movie. It just happens to have aliens in it. But it's one of those that I also want more from Arena. I wanted a little bit more story development from the villain end of it. It serviced what I wanted. Enemy Mine pacing sometimes gets confused with how fast it goes when this movie is perfectly paced as far as I am in for the whole thing. And I can't take anything away from that movie. There's nothing I can remove from Enemy Mine because I need every bit of it. I need all of the transition of the seasons with Dennis Quaid and, Louis Gossett Jr., the kids aspect of it. It sucks that the ending is so fast, but also I know in research that the whole reason they added minors is because the producers thought that the audience was going to be too stupid to understand what mine meant.
Yeah.
They wanted to put a mine in the movie so it's in the title instead of it being a possessive enemy mine.
Right.
They thought we were stupid. And now we have this whole thing in there. I think it could have been fixed, but I also love Brian James. He's like one of my favorite underrated villains in movies. And I don't know. I just can't give it to Arena when we're up against Enemy Mine. I have to give it to Enemy Mine.
All right. Sean, you're up.
I'm going to go with Enemy Mine as well. Because as a kid, I was always impressed by how it crammed everything into this movie, and it still didn't. I mean, the ending seems a little rushed, but like most of all the stuff, all of the stuff with the relationship and everything, you'd figure would be slow. I mean, in a modern age, that stuff would be super long-winded scenes, but
it would have been The Hobbit.
They really find the most effective abbreviation of everything, right?
Yeah.
Just the best written stuff, and the pacing is just on point. Just cramming all this great information in very bite-sized like spoonfuls, and I don't know, like I could probably take out a few things from Arena because it is fairly formulaic. So it comes down to what can you sacrifice and what can't you, and if you can't really take things away without messing up the flow and one tiny exposition dump for another scene, then I'm giving it to Enemy Mine.
Yeah. Like I would never want them to take out the football scene in Enemy Mine where he plays football.
No way.
That was one of the second most emotional parts of the movie for me, was that bonding right there he had.
Right.
But there, like you said, there could be things in Arena that you're like, yeah, I probably could have gotten away with that scene. Maybe I've been a little too silly and take that out. So I like that.
Yeah, everything's so poetic in Enemy Mine, even like the Mickey Mouse callback. I wouldn't take that.
I love
that. I take that back about what I said about Mickey Mouse. But like, it's more than just a joke. It's a respect for his god, which is not really a god. But
right.
Well, it is now.
Exactly. There's a scene in there where he's talking about, and Dennis Quaid starts smirking. That was the only usable take they could get because all the other ones he died laughing. So they left it because they wanted it to, like, Dennis Quaid is still being somewhat playful with him. Like it's a joke and he's never going to understand why it's a joke. Well, it's a talking mouse. That's you can't explain that to a Drax.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure everyone's on board with the artistry going to Enemy. Is there anyone not on board with artistry going to Enemy Mine?
I was back and forth, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll start with artistry. I mean, to me, it's Enemy Mine. That movie looks effing awesome.
Oh, like, it does.
When they're on, I'm like, every place that they are, I'm like, yep, they're there. That's a real place. Those creatures were freaking awesome.
Love them. Love the creatures.
I don't know. The makeup was crazy good. I don't know. I would say it's equal to like Star Wars, like pretty damn close. I can't think of anything that they could have done better in Enemy Mine. I was just like they landed and it looked like an awesome planet. Every planet they land on ever in any movie, you can always be like, yeah, they found somewhere in Europe or somewhere. They went to Australia or something or whatever. This is like this. Maybe it's like it's a other world. It's like he's literally in this other world, and the creatures are there, and it felt like the creatures really do live there. I love that when he finds the shell, he's like, oh shit, this thing's been stripping these things.
Yeah,
and it's like, and then he realized, oh, the shell is really strong. I don't know. I liked all that stuff. The space battles, there's a little bit of ghosting because I'm surprised they didn't clean that up, because I had a Blu-ray copy of it, and it's like they should have cleaned. I'm surprised they didn't clean that up. Whatever. I really like to
transfer it and then
transfer it.
Remastered.
It has it kind of has a stutter at the beginning too when it's doing the pan shot, that the planets and stuff almost have this very subtle. Again, they weren't making these movies for what we're watching them as now. So I mean, I'll never ding a movie for that, but I will. On top of what you just said, it never feels like a Star Trek episode when they go onto another planet, which a lot of these type. But a lot of these type of movies, you feel like, oh yeah, Kirk fought a Gorn over there. Yeah. That's where Crystal is. Enemy Mine, it felt like an alien planet. The sideways icicles in the snowstorm. Like holy, that made it a torture area that the planet's trying to kill you, but you're also like, I believe it though. It's an alien planet. It's
Yeah, it wasn't like we landed on an alien planet and then drama happens. We landed on an alien planet and there's drama, but there's also a lot of other crazy shit going on. It's basically like Skull Island with the two guys landing. It's again.
It's the hell in the Pacific. That's the exact same thing. Yeah.
So I know Arena looks cool. I mean, but it's like the Charles Band stamp of. I like it because I like this, but like anyone else is going to be like, no, thank you. But I like it because there's a monster that he's fighting, and he could never beat this thing. I don't care what thing you have, what light you have on you.
The handicapper?
The handicap lights or whatever.
Yeah,
that's
the
not
handicapper.
happening.
Yeah.
That's not, you're not winning against it. This thing is the whole arena.
Just physics. I mean, the guy's stronger. It doesn't make sense.
Right, and you can't knock it over. I've seen too many UFC fights. Like, you can't knock this thing over. Like, it doesn't happen. Anyways,
he had powerful kicks, man. He was just kicking that dude. It's all good.
Literally, I was like, that guy's Christopher Reeve is crazy. If you count Jade and Claudia Christian in artistry, then maybe I'd give it a. I guess you can count that as artistry.
Oh
man, he was like, he could have taken his pick. I was like, damn, that's a versus for you. Who do you pick? No, to me, it's like clearly Enemy Mine. Like, that movie's a masterpiece. It looks way better than anything else around that time with that ambition.
Right.
Who's that? Charlie, you can go next.
I'll go next since this is one of those instances where it's a tie for me. I'll give an answer, but beforehand, it's a tie for me because everything you just said about Enemy Mine is it's a whole world building thing, but they also had a budget to do it. Like, I love the spaceships at the beginning. They're designed. They're not stolen from, Battle Beyond the Stars, another movie that hasn't stolen it.
Galactico,
exactly. But Louis Gossett Jr., if you did not know that was there it goes. If you didn't know that was that actor, you would have no idea that that's Louis Gossett Jr.
No.
And I love everything, like you said, about the world and the creatures and stuff. But I love Arena because while, it's a Charles Band thing, but Charles Band went hard. He's like, let's have a ton of aliens in this thing. Let's fight Sloth at the beginning of this thing, this giant thing that it was the best way to explain what the handicapper was. Right. It's like, obviously he can't win. There's a thing where they can even it out. As a kid, I'm buying that. I'm like, yes, I could kick Sloth's ass. I'm good. And then all the other characters that kept getting added in, like the main bad guys were these little scurry around aliens. The one with the circuitry in his head. He was fun as hell, man. I love everything that Charles Band did with Arena, and it's why it's always been a favorite of mine. But we're going up against Enemy Mine. So it goes to Enemy Mine across the board because it's bigger world. Arena is this space station. The Enemy Mine is a broader stroke of the paintbrush, basically. That's me. Enemy Mine.
Enemy Mine. Steve?
It's close to a tie for me, but I am going to give the fingernail advantage to Arena, and I'll tell you why.
Right.
So I agree with everything you said. They really did try to build a world, and I feel like I did like the Louis Gossett Jr. makeup is insane. For some reason, I kept looking at his mouth. I have no idea why.
Yeah, because his lips are coming through.
I think
his lips are coming through.
Even the kid too.
And I was sort of thrown off by that a bit.
Yeah.
But I was impressed with them building that world and everything. The reason I'm giving it to Arena is because even though it does all take place on a space station, the way that the creatures are created and everything gives you the impression that it's part of a bigger world, which I never felt with Enemy Mine. I really did feel like the filmmakers in Enemy Mine knew they were self-containing it. They weren't going to need to create a lot of aliens. They weren't going to create a lot of creatures because it was generally a story between the Louis Gossett Jr. character and the Dennis Quaid character. Whereas I think that Arena understood they were building a universe of characters. There's so many unique characters in that movie, unique looking characters in that I was constantly impressed with how many different variations of the creatures they came up with. When he's fighting that sloth, I'm sitting there like, who thought of this? This is insane. This thing is literally sitting on the arena fighting Steve Armstrong. It's crazy. And in the ring. I was really blown away. I thought the Armin Shimmerman makeup was as Weasel was great.
Weasel.
Yeah.
The thing with Charles Band is I always like his score. I like this score too. Even if the movie is kind of whatever, I like the score. I really like the score for Arena. I'm going to give it slightly to Arena. It's hard for me to say that because Enemy Mine is so impressive, but I didn't feel the breadth of scope with the artistry that I felt with Arena. So,
all right,
fair.
Sean.
God, I was on the fence on this one. And you figure like it would probably go to Enemy Mine because it looks more impressive because it's this big $40 million movie, right? But like it made $2.3 million, by the way. But it's funny because I don't know if Wolfgang Pearson used the same crews from what's the name of that thing? Neverending Story, because it kind of looks, it's the same color palette and kind of approached everything with this giant sound stage where all the ground is completely covered and there's like a stream and all that. It's like kind of the same kind of thing, but
I think it is because the pond I think is in Neverending Story.
It's like they just reuse stuff, right? Yeah. That dragon always bugged me. It always looked like a Disney World ride thing. It didn't. It never looked great to me. Like in Enemy Mine.
Yeah.
And
you know what's funny about zone creature.
Yeah,
that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, what's funny about that movie is just as an aside, like my dad and I used to camp all the time, like go across country and camp, and I always pay attention to the lining because it's like you gotta pay attention to that, man. And that movie taught me that one thing because it's just the ground. They didn't put any flooring or anything there. No. So I always put something down there.
Hey, quicksand was a problem in the 80s, okay? When we were kids, quicksand everywhere. So you always look down.
God. Just put the shells there or something, man. Make a shell flooring or something. Parquet.
That'd have been uncomfortable. Did you see those shells?
Yeah. I know. But yeah, no, the thing about Arena is that like the world building to me is pretty amazing. And all the creatures, like they're imaginative, right? And they do have that larger canvas to work with because they can just make whatever they want. Some of the characters kind of look Sid and Marty Croftish at times because they have to, right? They're all practical creatures. Like the one guy he's sparring with, he's like waddling around,
that thing could never hit a human. It's like I'm like, okay, I'll just stand like 1 foot.
But there's no handicapper when they're doing it, so I don't even get what he's doing there. He's just punching man.
He's a punching bag. He's the sparring partner. He is literally there for training.
Yeah,
it's like
first guy.
And
I like at the end of that though. He's like, that kid's pretty good, like because he's complaining about it a bit, and I'm like, there's a lot of personality and character to these guys, right? Yeah. They just turn up like in 1 second, right? Yeah. Man. I'll give it to Enemy Mine because I think that like all of the set design and everything for that is impressive, and I also count imagination going into the story as part of art as well, and all of the stuff around like the little pocket Quran he's got and all the different like surahs and everything in there. That's amazing, man. Yeah. It's like that. All that stuff was thought out. It was pretty cool, and the whole business with the lineage and everything. And he has to go and recite the lineage. That's great. It's very effective, powerful stuff. So I'll give the edge to Enemy Mine.
One other thing I want, as we were talking about that I didn't bring up was the mining ship could have easily just been this throwaway spaceship that they landed and they're mining everything. It's a freaking factory.
It's a big ice train
of that thing. Yeah, but I mean, now it's like it's a foundry. So now we basically get a warehouse fight, but it's inside of the ship. So as fast as the ending goes, there's still a lot of stuff that had to happen and be put in place for that to be pulled off like it was. I mean, I do love that entire inside fight and I love the way Brian James dies in this movie. You know, that's also when this movie goes hard. That's where it was like, this is definitely a PG movie. Oh damn! Now it's like PG-13. That's where I would have
ground up, and they show
the spiral.
There's
I was
more
like,
gore in this than Halloween Ends. But
my mom could not have been home the day I watched that. This had to be a me and dad movie because she would have turned it off at that point. But dad would have been like, "There's only like 15 minutes left." She's like, "Well, I don't care. Charlie's not watching it." That was
finish it.
Let me finish this. This is fantastic. But yeah, no.
All right. Okay, so that is artistry. Next is characters. I mean, like, there's more characters in Arena.
Yes.
And there's 2 attractive characters.
Yep.
There's 2 late. There's like Enemy Mine is a dud for women, that's for sure. Arena, you've got your choice of 2.
There's kind of a woman in it.
Louis Gossett Jr.'s a little half woman.
Oh. Do I have anything for that? Oh,
yeah, give me something.
Don't even think about it, pal. Don't even think about it.
You can play the rest of it.
But Charlie's already sitting down. So. Everything that Alex says should just be a movie. It should be a movie of Alex talking.
Alex should have got a spinoff from Double Impact. That's exactly
he should be in every. I'm gonna do it. You know how I've got yours world, Facebook. I'm gonna do Alex's world. That'll just be
Alex's world.
Oh my god. No characters. Yeah, I mean, but the strength of the characters of the 2 characters and even the kid and Enemy Mine are so strong. Everyone else, Arena. What did I rank the characters? Yeah, I mean, Arena, I gave the characters a 1 because, you know, they're okay. Like, I like everybody. I like Armstrong. He's a good guy. I like this buddy there, the chubby guy. He's cool with the 4 arms. That's kind of neat. And they realized that pretty cool.
I like that aspect of him.
Yeah, I thought, that was neat. I like
that's why he wears a cloak all the time.
But,
you know, every once in a while you would see the dummy hands, but then another scene you'd see someone behind him.
Yeah,
and I was like, I like this. This is fun, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Weasel guy, the guy with the Lomat guy.
Lobot. Yeah.
Lobot, who's from Doctor Who. But anyway, so yeah, all that stuff. That's really cool. Obviously, Clyde Christian I like Jade or whatever. But like the strength of the characters in Enemy Mine it's just like too overpowering. Like you felt like they were real people stuck on that thing or whatever. So like, I don't know. It's like for me, it's like obviously the characters are better in Enemy Mine. So does anyone have does everyone have a definite answer on that or no?
I do.
Yep.
It's
right,
Enemy Mine. It's quality over quantity. There's a lot of characters in Arena, and I don't hate them at all. But they could have been interchanged with just about anyone, and the movie would have never changed. You know, give me a buff guy for the good guy, some good looking girls. I did like the fact that I forgot her name. The one that runs the fights that hired Steve,
Quinn.
You know, that Quinn, that she's in charge. So she's like boss lady. I like that idea of it. But everyone else is basically just run of the mill character.
Right.
Now you're up against Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. to where everyone else in that movie, except for Brian James, can be replaced as well. But you could never replace those 2 actors or characters, even the kid. For being a kid actor, it works so well. And it also comes down to the writing, you know, but they put it out there and they embodied it. So it goes to Enemy Mine as far as characters. It is a character movie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. To me, it's it's a no-brainer. Steve?
That's a no-brainer. It's Enemy Mine. It's those 2 characters, like the way that Dennis Quaid, just how he evolves, his way of thinking, and he becomes a caring human being, which is something he's not at the beginning of the movie. His character actually grows. I felt like the Louis Gossett Jr. character always had it in him. He was less the aggressor. So I was always watching Quaid because Quaid to me was always the guy who was like,
sorry.
he was always like the aggressor in that thing where I didn't really, feel Louis Gossett Jr. He was more of the spiritual character, right? But they're supposed to.
He captured Quaid. So that Quaid was going to kill him, but he captured Quaid. So that already kind of, and I think that was to the point though. They're trying, there's this battle going on where as the viewers, we automatically are going to side with the Earthlings.
Yes.
Till we start seeing this happening, and you're like, oh shit, are we the bad guys?
Yeah.
Like, who's the bad guy in this? So it works really well with, he was the more spiritual. Plus, he had to know he was pregnant too at the time.
Yeah, he was.
By the way, I
wife.
side with aliens instantaneously. If aliens ever invaded Earth, you guys are all screwed. I will join. Like, remember in V? I sign me up. We're lizard people. I'm good. I'm good with that.
J-Man welcomes his alien overlord.
I will join you.
I for one welcome our alien.
That's exactly it.
I will defect immediately. I'm like, okay, here's where you need to strike. You gotta hit here. Right? It's like, and I'll throw in a couple of personal spots that I'll just these are important. Hit this too.
Yeah, you're working on it.
No, not this work. Not the one I'm at now, but
other ones.
Other ones that I don't like. Yeah, this place needs to get targeted anyways.
J-Man's going to be like, so we need an entertainment industry, and I'm in charge of it, right?
Oh,
so I'll do everything you need, but I do all the entertainment from now on.
Superman 2, my needs are small. I just need the entertainment business, Hollywood.
Australia.
So with that, and to be honest with you, in Arena, I did not like Steve Armstrong. I did not like him. No. Oh my God. Contestant character. He's the guy who makes a bunch of choices in the movie, and you're like, this is a bad choice, Steve. He's sitting there saying, I don't want to fight in the arena. You're like, you're going to fight in the arena. He's going to sleep with that girl. I'm like, she's going to drug you. And of course she does. Everything he does, I'm like, it's literally the reality show contestant character. It's literally like when you watch a reality show and they're like, oh, I'm going to join this alliance. It's like, yeah, they're going to screw you over in 1 second. And they do. It was literally that thing. He would not have beaten the last guy without Shorty. He wouldn't have beaten him. If they really want to create Steve Armstrong great, he'd be like, man, there's something wrong with these handicappers. Someone should go up there and do something about it. He's just there, I'm going to just keep fighting needlessly because I'm going to lose, but I don't care because this is how my character's written. I'm like, what is this guy? So I didn't actually like Steve Armstrong. I like everyone else. I like the villain. He had the big bulging eyes. I was like, whose eyes bulge more, this guy's or Brian James? It was a tie for me. But I liked Weasel. I liked Quinn. I liked everyone else, but I did not like Steve Armstrong. So to me, it's clearly enemy mine.
I like Steve Armstrong, and he slept with her because we know why he slept with her. Now, he didn't drink anything. That was a fail.
Well, no, but
it's always let them drink first. Hasn't he seen any movies? It's like you gotta. So here's a drink. No, you drink first. Let me see you drink that thing. Right. Then I'll drink. But,
yeah, I get that, but like everything's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to. Like he says that for like 5 minutes straight, and I'm like, who brought the whiny blonde guy to the party? Like, get out of here, man.
Right.
So.
This script needs tension. Quick, make him disagreeable. It's like,
do you want to fight in the arena, Sean? So there you go.
The handicap will make me like 10 times stronger. Or something,
you won't do anything, and you'll immediately get nailed.
But he had trained to be an arena fighter, and then he never made it. And then they give him the option, and he's like, "Nah, I don't want to do it.
I don't want money. God. I have nothing, but I don't care.
I'm not a fighter."
Yeah.
No.
There's got to be a scene where he refuses. Stretch it out a bit.
Yeah.
Stretch it out,
guys.
Stretch it out, Stretch Armstrong. There you go.
I have Stretch Armstrong and I have the Stretch Alien character.
Oh, yeah, the Alien too? Was it like a reissue or?
Reissue, I got the reissue Alien.
Vac-Man?
Monster or whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember the name. Yeah.
Was it the orange one or the green one?
The orange one.
So that's the redo, and that's Vac-Man.
Hey, random, I got Sunman and the Horde Trooper and Clawful
for the Origins
at Walmart for regular price.
Yeah, I got everybody except Sunman. I didn't really care
Sunman
for
was
that
regular
line.
price. They only had one, but like regular. So
Go for it.
Sean and I were at a toy show like a month ago. They were charging $80 for Sunman Canadian.
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, Sunman's at my Walmart. I don't know what they're doing.
There's two different Sunman. There's a exclusive release, and then there's a packaged release. So there's one that comes with the sleeve, slightly different armor, and then there's the blister pack one that come with the regular Origins. So there's two Sunmen. I got the
blister pack one.
Yeah, you got the retail release, but there is a special release that did get a lot more. His armor's got more of a metallic color to it.
Oh, cool.
A couple other changes, and he gets like that brown cardboard shipper. He's still carded, but he comes with a lot of, like they did Grizzlor and a couple other ones.
Yes. Now people are not happy with that Grizzlor thing.
J-Man knows I have an entire wall of Origins.
Yeah, that's why we threw it
right here.
my entire closet is He-Man, where like there's toys falling out of the closet. It's like I go like this and I shut the door and then I let it go, because if I open it, it'll fall.
Well, who's the real man that backed the Eternia playset?
Nobody.
I couldn't.
Yeah,
it's like $1,000.
It's like for Canada it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a YouTuber I watch. He's from around here too, and he was complaining. He was like, for international, and we're not even across an ocean, and it's like over $1,000. He's like, forget it.
Yeah, it's $550, and then just before they needed to hit the 5,000 mark, they teamed up with PayPal, and then PayPal offered financing. So the numbers jumped. Like it's at over 8,000 right now, so that they could get Modi, the little creature that comes with it. I don't know if they'll get Keldar, whatever it is,
Keldar,
the wizard looking guy. I don't know if they'll get to that. Yeah. But I almost did, but I also went, I have no place to put Eternia.
Yeah.
Like I have Grayskull still in the box.
Me too.
And the kicker is when Snake Mountain does get released, I will get that, but I don't have room for all three playsets.
Eternia is crazy. I have the Origins Grayskull in the box.
That's what I have, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Origins Grayskull. I have the Origins Grayskull, but I also have
the classics.
Maddie Collector Classics. Whatever. I have that Grayskull is so huge.
It's massive.
I firstly, the box is the whole closet,
but
like I'm talking the whole.
Oh, I know.
Whole closet.
Snake Mountain's bigger too. So if you go for the Snake Mountain one, it's bigger than the Grayskull.
I can't.
I still have a sealed slime pit, like from the 80s.
I have the real slime pit. I slimed Battle Armor Skeletor.
Yeah.
And then it rigged up his like.
It got in the mechanism. Yeah.
And I was like, that was stupid. And I'm like, I'm never using the slime pit again.
Don't slime pit anything with moving parts. Don't slime pit Grizzlor. Right. Don't slime pit Moss Man.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Why would you?
Yeah.
Hey kids, we slimed everything.
Yeah, we slimed everything. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like I instantaneously grabbed whoever was nearby. I'm like, I'm sliming them.
Yeah, and you flock thing like your Penthor and all that. Like,
don't do that.
Spike Ore was the best one because it would hold on to it, but it would clean off easy. He was the best one to slime out of all of them.
All right, so I guess Sean, characters.
Well, I mean mine. I mean the whole thing hinges on character, and the strength of them outshines the ones in Arena. Arena, like they're cool, but they're archetypes, right? You know, so there's not much to them. It's like hero, mentor, training woman, bad guy, other bad guy. So
henchman,
they're all cool. They're action figures and they're awesome, but Enemy Mine, I mean, everything hinges on their personality and as Steve said, their growth, and it's got to go to even a kid is awesome, you know. So
the kid is awesome.
Yeah, and I want to say too, like Louis Gossett Jr. basically invented a whole race of aliens with his mannerisms and stuff. He really put a lot of thought and effort into it and stuff. And I saw an interview with him on YouTube talking about it, where he's like he's a lizard, so I walk more flat-footed and all that stuff. And he said he took the role because everyone else turned it down. That's the only reason why it was offered to him. And he took it because he said I have a little Lon Chaney Senior in me, so I really wanted to play with the makeups and all that and make a character. I'm like, that's awesome. You're wicked, man.
Yeah, he did the gargle voice. That was his idea.
Yeah,
that wasn't written into there. He did all of that himself, and the language is like broken up Russian spoken backwards.
Yeah, Russian backwards, I think.
Yeah, it's so wild how it sounds like an alien language. And like J-Man was talking, there's no subtitles. They don't try to force you what he's saying. We're trying to understand, so we connect with Dennis Quaid more.
Yeah,
and it means more when they start say, like, you kind of start understanding the language as the movie goes on too yourself. Little words here and there where you're like, oh, that's what that is. It worked. And I just want to say, the prosthetic of the infant child when he pulls that, holy crap, that is so believable. It easily could have just been a rubber whatever. It is moving, it's animatronic, it grabs his thumb. You know, it's this instant that it's just there and it's alive and he's holding it. It is so amazing. And that alone I should have put in artistry, because that is another thing that just elevated it up to just something so simple as the infant version of a Drax. Just blew me away.
Well, him grabbing the finger is a character moment. You know, it's a part of the movie.
That solidified Quaid.
Effect, you know?
That solidified Quaid. Like, I have to protect this child now. Like, he easily could have made it an empty promise that I will take the kid to the planet. He could have easily just left, and he doesn't. That, you know, all of a sudden that kid is a real tactile thing. It touched him. It grabbed him. He is there. That is his whole life. And as it keeps going, even to the point where it pains him to tell him he's not its parent. He is, and that's when now all of a sudden it's calling him uncle. He doesn't say uncle till after they have that conversation of him not being human and they look different. Then they start calling him uncle. And I mean, just, God, man, I just love how that movie just digs into that.
And I guess we're into enjoyment now. Charlie, you're saying I'm assuming
I enjoy the hell out of Arena. I love that movie. I will watch it all the time because it's just dumb fun.
Right.
But I enjoy the hell out of Enemy Mine because it is a sci-fi movie that should have won Oscars. It should have been. It should have been talked about still to this day, not just by us. None of us should have been sitting here going, I haven't seen it in so long. All of us should have been like, oh yeah, man, I just watched that the other day because I can't stop watching it. You know, and that's what that movie deserves to be. And yeah, I enjoy the hell out of Enemy Mine. So obviously it's that.
Yeah, me too. I was gonna say, like, with the kid too, like when he says, like, you know, I wish I was human and I, you know, and all that. And it's like, I wish I looked more like you and all that. I'm like, wow, this is so good. And it's not done with any stupid agenda in mind. It's done out of purity and out of, you know, story and out of something making sense where you're like, oh, you're my father. It's like, you are my father. Like, I don't like Lou Gossett, like, yeah, he birthed me and then he died. So it's like, it's interesting. I want to know more about like how their culture works. That's why I was hoping if there was a sequel, it'd be on their world and we learn how this works. Like, does someone else take care of this kid? Like,
no, you know what? You're making the same mistake I did as a kid. They're not supposed to die.
They're not supposed to. That's what I was
when I was a kid, I thought that's how it worked. That like you die as you give birth, and then well, who raises the kid? No, he says something is wrong.
Yeah,
something's wrong with the birth, and then he dies.
I know. Yeah, so I was gonna say, like, how does this work? Is this like what happens? Because he does say, I'm supposed to tell my son the whole lineage.
He does the ceremony. Yeah,
he does the ceremony. Yeah, he's not supposed to die because.
But you're saying that you can't be the only person that have ever died in childbirth.
Right,
so
what culturally is there, like an orphanage? You know, what do they have? You know,
maybe he adopts them. Like maybe they say, you have to go with Dennis Quaid. You're not one of us anymore. Or your lineage is broken. Now you take his lineage.
That would have been awesome in a second movie.
Right,
that right there. Being rejected by your people. But the kid wouldn't have felt it as much because he was raised by Quaid, but Quaid would be like, it was important to Louis Gossett Jr.'s character.
Right.
We have to get them to allow you in. it's kind of like the whole Klingon thing with Worf's son.
Worf's son, his name is
Alexander.
Alexander, yeah.
Because where Worf wasn't 100% Klingon, Alexander's only 3/4% Klingon, and it meant so much to get him back to the home planet to do the ceremonies. They totally could. Yeah, they totally could have played on that, you know, trying to fulfill Louis Gossett Jr.'s character's the promise that he made. It wasn't raise my kid, it was take my kid home, take him there, repeat the whole thing. And man, I know we're dragging this out and we all know what we're gonna do, but when they're doing the lineages and he's talking about his own family, I was like, damn, man. And it also kind of bothered me because I only kind of remember up to like my great grandparents, but there's more that come behind them. You know what I mean? It's they know 200, like they said, to the foundation of their planet, they know who their names are. And I'm like, damn, I'm a shitty person. I
know nothing. No, I'm the worst. Because when my grandparents died and we went to all these funerals, we did all this stuff, and they're asking my mom all these questions like, oh my God, are they going to ask me these questions? I don't know anything. They're like, who is this? I'm like, maiden name of this? I'm like, no, I don't know.
I don't know shit.
So
I'm going to step back. All right. So Steve, which one did you enjoy more?
Just to let you know, from my ancestry, my aunt tried to do it, and my paternal grandfather's side, it cut short. No one knows.
Oh,
yeah, it goes back a few generations, and then that's it. It's gone. It's like, you know how those commercials say, "Oh, you know, I'm 1400." Yeah, no, not me. I don't know.
Everyone's the descendant of a king.
Yeah.
Steve, which one did you like better?
Oh, I mean, Arena is a fun, disposably fun movie. You know, it's good for a bit. But like Enemy Mine is a whole different creature. This one's going to be hard to beat in the tournament. It is something else. It is like it's an experience, right? You know how I've been complaining for the longest time. I can't stand it. All these movies, it's just two people talking. And then I watched this movie where a lot of it's two people talking. And I couldn't get enough of it. So it's Enemy Mine. Clearly, it was a genius movie.
Oh, okay, 100%.
You know, and on the language thing, you notice how the Lou Gossett Jr. character, the Drac, tries to learn Quaid's language first. Like Quaid doesn't want to learn its language. He's like, whatever, I don't care. I'll just yell at you in what I think is your language. It's almost like Pig Latin, right? But Louis Gossett Jr.'s character makes a concerted effort, and you see how his language changes as he gets to learn the language. He gets more articulate. It's amazing the work that he did on that movie. But yeah, Enemy Mine, really enjoyable experience. Going to be hard to beat in the tournament. That's it.
Yeah. Sean?
Oh, it's Enemy Mine, man. I enjoyed it as a kid. I enjoy it now, and I marvel at the fact that I enjoyed it as a kid because it shouldn't be something that I mean, it's not like too much for a kid, or kids shouldn't see it, but it doesn't seem like the type of thing that I would have liked as a kid. But it is. I enjoyed it back then. I enjoy it now. I hadn't seen it in about 10 years or so. And I was like, God, I'm gonna watch this like probably every couple weeks now. Like it is fairly breathtaking. It might be because films have kind of fallen. Like, well, I know people always say that, and it's like, oh, you're just grumpy. It's like, I don't know. Watch some of these like forgotten films, and you'll probably see the same thing I see. It's like there's a craftsmanship here that you don't see anymore, right? There's care and thought put into it. You know, like everything you're saying, Steve, about Louis Gossett Jr. creating that character, and even like Dennis Quaid, like crafting a character that evolves and grows, right? I don't know if even actors put that kind of thought into things anymore. No. They just want a career climb and stuff.
Well, the question I have is, everyone's a method actor now. How do you method act that role? for Louis Gossett Jr.? How do you method act that role for Quaid?
Man. Come on. Why would you just act? If you need to be the guy all the time, then you suck at this. It's like you should be able to turn it on, turn it off, man. Like an actor, You
don't just turn it off.
Well, that's the famous exchange on Marathon Man. Then Dustin Hoffman walks through the door. He looks like hell. Laurence Olivier's sitting there. He's like, "What happened to you?" Dustin Hoffman's like, "Oh, I did all this method acting, so I look like terrible for the torture scene." It's going on and on. And he stops, and Olivier's just looking at him. He says, "Dear boy, did you never think about acting?"
Nice.
Like,
it's true.
If you're gonna be a method actor, it's like, okay, then anyone can do it, because it's like, I'll just be that thing. It's like,
I'll just go through hell. I'll just
now they need to have real aliens to play aliens, right?
Exactly.
Like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson can actually fly, because if he didn't actually fly, there'd be an uproar. They'd be like, well, why didn't you cast someone who could fly, right?
Wait, he doesn't fly? What
the
hell?
He flies in real life.
Okay, I thought The Rock flew in real life.
Yeah, he did.
Don't mess with me, man.
No, I was going to say one thing about the flying in Black Adam. He always looks like he's sitting on a couch or something. Like his arms are like this, and his legs are sort of like up, and he's like just floating around like that.
Wasn't that what it was like in the comic though? It was like he treated it like it was nothing. Like it was just he could just fly. It's not like we're used to the Superman. This guy was just like, F it, I'm gonna levitate, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I will say I did enjoy that in the movie, because if he's going to be a god, he should not be on the ground. He should always be in.
He's always
appreciated that.
Like
right?
Yeah. Though I did notice, I'm not 100%. It's like the flash screen in Fight Club. I think I noticed a wire, like a litlittle harness.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think I did, and I was like, "Was that a harness?" I'm telling you, but it's like the Fight Club, where it's like, "Was that a penis?" I don't.
One's not as shocking as the other when you see it.
Well, it is because in Fight Club they meant for that to be there.
Yeah,
I don't think they meant the wire to be there in
Unless they did.
But as soon as I came home, I started reading a bunch of Dr. Fate comics. But anyways, we're gonna talk about that tomorrow. Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts before we end this up? I already got the picture ready for there. Oh wait, oops, that's not the one. Let me remove that one. That was the old one. Let me add the new overlay. Any final thoughts, guys, on?
Yeah, I just don't know how we're gonna go forward, because Enemy Mine's gonna decimate.
What do you want to do with this? Because
should we rate all the other ones against themselves, and Enemy Mine automatically makes it to the finals or something? It's just
I mean, it didn't win every category in this battle.
But it was splitting hairs though, and it was up against Arena, which is a childhood favorite. There's I'm looking at this up against Space Hunter. So
yeah.
I don't know. I like Space Hunter a lot.
I like Arena a lot. I like Space Hunter a lot, but what's the better movie? That's what we're going to run into. And I admit there might be some slugfest, but we're also going to have some that are just going to get knocked completely out of here. They're just going to be,
So do you want to remove Enemy Mine and next week do someone can come back?
Ooh.
Yeah, you were talking about that before.
Like Second Chance Sunday.
Second Chance Sunday.
You know what movie everyone wants to come back that they're still pissed off at us that's not in the final.
What movie? Yeah. If it comes back, it's just going to be beaten again.
That's right. That's right.
Two times.
The rematch. You'll have a
rematch.
I gotta be honest with you. When I was watching Enemy Mine, I'm like, I don't think this movie should be in this tournament.
You're not wrong. We were all.
Do we just say Arena goes by? Do we just put Arena in, or do we do? Okay, hold on. Let's take a look at what's feasible. Let's figure this out right now. We're gonna figure this shit out right now.
That's fine. Yeah, let's
figure it out right now. All right.
Yeah, Jack Tunney, man.
Let's take Jack
Tunney hat on.
Okay, Space Mutiny is definitely out.
Yeah.
No, red brown against red brown. Come on, man, that would have been awesome.
Okay, so Krull, we can write Krull.
Krull's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
We haven't done. Maybe we'll do Galaxina versus Thingy next week.
Yeah.
That's the last one.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that.
Yeah.
And then the winner of that stays, and then we're going to do next week as a comeback, a second chance.
Because we've eliminated, like, there's 2 off the top. It's like
Zach.
Krull and even Ice Pirates.
Yeah.
Is a pretty big heavy hitter right there that got eliminated. A lot of the other ones are like splitting hairs. Like either one we didn't want to lose or win. You know, like when it comes to like Galaxy of Terror, Forbidden World, kind of the same movie.
Yeah, Space Mutiny can rot in hell. But
yeah, Space Mutiny was not
Saturn
fun.
3.
Saturn 3 and Outland. I mean, Saturn 3 still, I think, would lose fairly quickly against others.
Yeah.
Metal Storm's going to lose pretty quickly against others.
Yeah.
Krull and Ice Pirate seems like a good matchup to me. No?
So Krull versus Ice Pirates for a comeback?
I mean,
the two popular choices.
That's like the people's choice ones, basically, is what they are. So we do next week's, and then we do a people's choice match.
That's insane.
I love this.
It's that or enemy mine wins. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It'll split hairs.
I gave
I would be like 9.5. Honestly, I would.
They can retire gracefully.
Yeah.
And
okay, guys,
it's just out of its weight class. That's
or
really
do you want Arena to go up against one of those?
No, I think okay. So let's look at them all. Okay, Space Mutiny for sure is gone.
Yes.
Ice Pirates might come back. Krull might come back.
Yes.
And then we'll see about Galaxina and Star Crash. That's why I want to finish those 2, because if one of them was really good, maybe they could come back, right?
Yeah, but I think it's a stretch to be better than Krull or Ice Pirates.
I don't think
they're going to be there.
I don't think they're going to be there, but let's see. We never know, right?
Right. And I guess if I'm being honest, like I don't know if Arena could actually stand up to either Ice Pirates or Krull.
No.
So that kind of does defeat to try and bring that one in as a buy.
Yeah.
I like the people's choice option on here. And then we make it where even their poll, the poll in the YouTube has a really big pull on it on who goes, not just us.
All right. So yeah, in Saturn 3, I don't think we could beat Krull or Ice Pirates.
No.
Galaxy of Terror?
It's basically Forbidden World, though. I mean, that was one of those movies where it was like, throw them both at the wall. Yeah. Whoever stays on the wall the longest wins.
Yeah.
And there was no like wrong answer with those 2. So
I don't think we can revisit that. I feel like it makes sense too because Krull and Ice Pirates were 2 of the earlier ones, right? They were almost like warm-up matches.
And they were huge upsets.
Yeah, and they were huge upsets. Whereas as we're going along, like I have no desire to revisit Galaxy of Terror or any of the other ones really.
Right.
Because I feel like we're now like we understand totally why we feel a certain way. Whereas Krull, it's like, well, you know, blah blah blah, and Ice Pirates, well, you know, blah blah blah. But like now it's like, no, don't bring back Arena. It won't beat any of these things. So
right. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
so
I agree. I think that's the way to go. The people's choice match.
The people have spoken, and they want Ice Pirates back. Here it is. I'm gonna make the thing for it right now. Yeah, because Ice Pirates was one that people wanted.
Yeah.
All right.
This is the wild card match.
This is crazy. Wild card match.
I like this.
Oh my god. Who would have thought?
Spiced it up, man. I like it.
Yeah, this kind of came out of nowhere now. Like, all of a sudden we got this new. All right, so let me.
Good job, Sean. Good job, buddy.
Redeem myself from bringing enemy mind into this thing.
There you go. Oh man,
quality bomb, man.
Well, I gotta be honest. I think we started off with destroying Krull, and that pretty much set the tone. And people haven't forgiven J-Man since that happened.
They despised me,
and J-Man hasn't forgiven Sean since that's happened. I might add. So,
but if it goes up against yours winning. So just to give you, I firmly I've planted my flag in yours.
Your
world.
Yeah. Well, he's
Yours world. He's
Yeah,
the
he is the
man.
All right, so okay, I've officially done that. I'm going to officially do Enemy Mine and remove that. So, guys, we have decided that Enemy Mine. This is like I watch a lot of these shows. I'm watching Ink Master. I love Ink Master, so I'm watching Ink Master, and it's like you do have what it takes to win the space opera tournament. So, unfortunately, we have to remove you from it because you're too good. So, sorry, not your
Enemy Mine.
Enemy Mine, you're too good. You're too good. Enemy Mine is too good, so we're gonna remove it. Wow.
It gets disqualified because it actually had a budget behind it and good writing. Nothing any of the other movies actually had.
Hopefully this stream puts Enemy Mine into the algorithm so that more and more millennials and Gen Zers
it needs
Enemy
to be
Mine,
brought
what's that?
up.
Then you watch it and then they react to it, and then more people know about it.
I need to do a space opera month on the podcast, and I'm going to bring in Enemy Mine. Like, more people need to be reminded of that movie, period. I mean, it is shocking. And I was reading the reviews, and it's like 6.7, but the first ones are like 8, 7, 9, 8, 7, 9, 8, 8, 8. And they were all like, holy shit, I forgot about this movie, and it's fantastic. Holy shit, why doesn't anyone talk about this movie? It's fantastic. And it's like, yeah, you guys, it's exactly what I was feeling like. I feel bad that I haven't talked about it that much. I just thought everyone had seen it. You know what I mean? It was just
the reviews from the time are shocking. Like Roger Ebert didn't like it.
Yeah, I watched
it's weird. I think maybe they were fatigued by something. I don't know.
There had to be another factor to it. Why there's nothing in this movie that should have been critiqued that badly.
Yeah,
you know, unless they weighed way too heavily on the fast-paced ending, which we've all admitted is a flaw, but it ended the movie and it fulfilled the service. You know, it fulfilled a point. Too good. There we go. Too good.
So now we're gonna do my God, the People's Choice. So I'll make a little thing on the side here, People's Choice for that. Like Krell versus Ice Pirates, People's Choice or whatever.
Awesome.
All right, so but next week though, Galaxina versus Star Crash.
Star Crash. And like I said, Galaxina's on Tubi now. It popped up on there.
Oh, it is?
I swear they're listening to me because it wasn't like a day or two later, and I messaged J-Man. We were talking back and forth. They're like, "Oh yeah, Galaxina's on Tubi now," just out of nowhere.
All right, so there you go. So we're good on that one then. Get that icon. All right. Okay, guys. So that is it for today. Then tomorrow, well, Charlie hasn't seen it yet, but I think Steve and Sean, you guys are all going to be on tomorrow for the Black Adam spoiler talk.
Yeah.
Spoilers, already bought the Dr. Fate figure this morning. I ran out to buy the Dr. Fate figure because
I love that. I love that look of Dr. Fate in this movie. That's what I'm most excited about.
And he is awesome.
When he was cast too, I was like, that is perfect casting.
Yes.
As far as I cared.
When he first showed up flying in the air and challenging Black Adam, J-Man freaked out. He was like, "Oh my god!" Like,
awesome.
like
it came out of the comic. Like you just pulled Dr. Fate out and put him there.
Well, that's what it was. Yeah.
I had the Dr. Fate superpowers action figure as a kid. I loved that character, man. It was just something about him.
I think I can't. Okay, so I thought I had it in the packaging, but I don't have it. I remember having it in my hand to buy, and I thought I did buy it that time. I didn't, and I had Dr. Fate. For sure for a long time, and I can't find that either. And he was complete with his cape. I didn't lose the cape, and he was good condition. I can't find it. I don't know where the hell it is. I'm really upset. I found all my other superpowers that I kept, except for that one, and I don't know why I can't find it. And now because he was in the movie, it's like skyrocketing.
Oh, it's stupid price. I mean, they were never cheap for that line anyway. Even though that they released them, like I got the Batman the other day.
I got Batman and Superman.
McFarlane did. And it's still like they were never cheap. It was like the Secret Wars Marvel, those characters when they came out. They had the shield that would change picture and all that.
Yeah.
The lenticular. Those aren't cheap, especially now.
They're cheaper than superpowers, but for key characters like Falcon skyrocketed in price, and that was always the cheapest, crappiest one. And like I have Cap and Iron Man in the packaging. And of course those skyrocketed after MCU became big.
I remember my mom going into Kmart and we needed to get my cousins a birthday present, or not birthday, Christmas present, and I got to go with her. I picked out Brainiac and Lex Luthor to give them. So I know I've held those two figures in package in my hand, and I gave them to my cousins.
I got Brainiac.
I love that figure, man. And that purple and green Lex Luthor in the power suit is awesome.
Suit,
and I never got those characters. I had all the other ones basically, but I never got the two I got my cousins in my own collection.
It's better than the Toy Biz one that always hit his head.
I have that one too. Yeah. But it's got the magnet. It's got the ring that had the magnet.
The magnet.
Those were kind of lame, but kind of cool.
Flash never really ran the right way.
Yeah.
His shoulder would pop out of the socket, and you had to snap the arm back onto it, the little peg.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for this week. So tomorrow we're live. After that, Steve and I are doing our thing on Tuesday again, and I think, right? Yes.
Yep.
And then Thursday, Wakanda Forever is in a few weeks. That was not a slip. Okay. We're going to see that boring movie in a few weeks. But all right, guys. Until next time.
Hey, friends. You've just been listening to J-Man. And he is the smartest person who ever lived. So make sure you like and subscribe.